Words to live by.
I'm C. Alfinari. I'm the garden lady, and I want to take you on a quick tour of my garden.
I'm coming too. I'm the weed. I'm going to give you a weed point of view in the garden.
That's the weed. Don't pay any attention to him. I'd pull him out, but he's kind of cute. I call this the lakeside perennial border. Although it isn't just perennials, I use this garden as a place to tuck in annuals as well.
And a few weeds.
Yes, there are a few weeds here. But if you notice weed, I've mulched, and I keep pulling them out.
Leaping like some whacky, garden lady. Those are my kind.
Well, I know those are your kind, but I don't want them in the garden. The weeds have the entire rest of the property.
Don't believe her, peeps. She pulls them out there too.
A weed is any plant that's in the wrong space. This feverfew, for example, needs to come out. Just because a plant is self-seeded in your garden does not mean it needs to stay there.
She has no mercy!
We all want a very easy way to control weeds, but the truth is, weeds will always be with us. Even if we mulch, they appear.
Bust your bud, Leah. You're absolutely right.
Look at this one. Got huge crabgrass. This is the fragrance garden that's still under construction. You'll notice something about the flowers here. Most of them are white. I've tried to include some plants with fragrant foliage too, but my goal is to get plants in here that are fragrant from the winter well through the fall.
Smells good.
This is Clethra September Beauty, next to an Autolucan cherry laurel.
Hey, Otto.
Simicifuga brunette, one of my favorites.
Mine too. Don't bother the bees.
Lavender and alyssum. And hummingbird clethra behind it.
I like all the open space. Plenty of places for weeds.
Yeah, you would. Well, I just haven't gotten around to planting everything in this garden yet. It's certainly a work in progress. My goal is to have so many plants in here that there is no space for weeds. Oh! No. This is the rain garden. The purpose of a rain garden is twofold, really. First of all, to capture rainwater that falls on a property so that that water stays on the property rather than going down a storm drain. And then, in this case, this garden traps the water that comes down the driveway, because as the water flows down a long asphalt driveway like this, it's going to pick up oils and all from the car. And the whole purpose of this garden is to prevent it from continuing to go downhill and into the lake.
Keep this to yourself, but one of the plants in here is actually a weed.
I think he's referring to my lovely rush here, the juncus.
The smart thing about this, garden lady, is that the plants here all want the same thing: wet feet.
Yeah. I've got variegated dogwood in here and winterberry holly. There are anemones, Japanese anemones, and jopai weed, eupatorium. And I've got some chrysogonum, green and gold, that I hope will become the floor of this garden. There's some Lysimachia in here that I'm going to eventually weed out once the green and gold kind of takes over and gets thick enough to choke out the weeds.
Oh, there she goes again.
Is that a smile?
The best I can do. I'm a puppet, you know, a weed.
This garden is going to be part a shade garden and part a sun garden. The beginning of it, the front of the garden, gets a lot of sun, and so I've got the cutleaf tiger eye sumac there and the asters. I'm going for the blue asters in bloom in the fall when the cutleaf sumac is gorgeous colored. That's what I'm going for. We'll see if it happens. This is the first year for the asters, so they're not very big, so we'll see what happens.
Shush.
Sorry. This is a garden that I've predominantly planted in coral and blue and yellow white flowers. And I see the robins are enjoying the new bird bath. I think that's it for today. Another time I'll talk about deadheading.
I love the Grateful Dead.
Thanks for coming to Poison Ivy Acres.
Get into your garden, peeps. It's all happening in your own backyard.